And they are a game, and they've played an extra game, but they're 4 points up on the Florida Panthers right now.
Let's friggin' go.
I mean, this is a team that hasn't won a real division since the late 90s. I'm talking about, Canadian division.
Made up. Listen,
up.
They were all made up that year, but it matters for the Leafs. If they had won the Atlantic at any point over the last 10 years,
it would matter more.
Maybe you count the Canadian division because you're like, they've done it before. But because that's the only one, it's like, no, it doesn't count.
That's right. They are up. They are 12 points up on the fourth place Lightning already.
Ooh,
they are 12 points. The Lightning have played 4 less games, but it's still worth mentioning.
Mm-hmm. 4?
Yeah, the Lightning have played 37. The Leafs have played 41 because of the December schedule was bonkers.
Well, if the Lightning win out, the Leafs are still up 4.
The Leafs are 9 points up on the Boston Bruins, who, by the way, have played a game more than the Leafs have.
Hey, let's go.
And, of course, the Florida Panthers, I mentioned 50 points in 40 games for them. They've played one less game, but the Leafs, points percentage-wise, are top in the division. And we'll talk about the Senators and the Canadiens a little bit later, but I think they're going to need their shout-outs, to be sure.
Of course.
But I'm looking at this, and I'm going, this is the best possible outcome you could have for this group, considering what they were staring down December 1st.
100%. And with Matthews out for the majority of it, too. I mean, how do you... It's funny. Remember when the Canucks were just running away with the NHL in like 2011 and all that?
Oh, yeah.
And there was the Mason Raymond paradox. And the Mason Raymond paradox was all Canucks fans were complaining about Mason Raymond because he was the perceived weakest link on an otherwise juggernaut of a hockey team. Mm-hmm. And for me, it feels like Morgan Rielly has become that for the Leafs because I get asked about him after every game now. During every game, I'll get messages like, what is up with this guy? He stinks and blah, 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 blah. Gets the OT winner last night. Granted, still didn't have the greatest game, but I'm like, do you not see where they are right now? How am I the one going, hey, I think you need to be more optimistic about the Toronto Maple Leafs? That's not usually my bag, baby. Mm-hmm. But they've won 4 straight. I think we need to start feeling really good about this.
Jesse, what's your sense of the Morgan Rielly discourse from inside the organization, where I'm sure there is none? But like there has been a huge online discourse, and it really I found picked up mid-December and has sort of exploded over the Christmas break here.
I'm not even saying they're wrong.
Well, yeah, and we could talk about the merits of it, but the reality is that $7.5 million defenseman, you expect him to score more than a goal. Mm-hmm. Do you have any sense of how the Leafs feel about it?
I think Morgan Rielly knows he didn't have a good first half because he said it. He talked to Jonas Siegel at practice about how he was disappointed in his first half and how the second half he needs to improve, and there are little parts of his game that he needs to get better. And there's a stretch here coming up where the Leafs have a bunch of time off because of the Four Nations, and every team does. And it's a long season. We forget that. And him having a couple, like 2 months-ish of hockey that we're like not too impressed with is okay because the Leafs have been continuing to win, like we've pointed out, and there's a whole stretch here where he can get right. And last night hopefully is the start of something, getting that OT winner, and I'm not concerned about Morgan Rielly.
I have a couple things on this point, guys. The first one is, what season did Morgan Rielly play his best hockey? And I'm talking about playoffs or regular season. When have you seen Morgan Rielly play his best?
Well, there was the season he had 20 goals and 72 points. That was absurd. But, I mean, the 23 playoffs against the Lightning and Panthers.
Which came on the heels of an injury-plagued, not-so-good regular season.
Uh-huh.
And, with
a steady defender.
We talk about in Toronto. Luke Shen. We talk about in Toronto the wanting, we want these players to be better than they are in the regular season. Mm-hmm. Morgan Rielly's a guy that
sets the bar low.
Yeah. No, I think there's he's a beast in the playoffs. So I'm less concerned about it. But the other thing I wanted to bring up, and I think unless you've had, I hate to say put it this way, but a lot of people are going to roll their eyes about what I'm going to say. And
I know exactly what you're going to say.
They have a child that is less than a year old at home, and for me, having gone through that, and listen, I didn't give birth. I didn't have to breastfeed. I didn't have to do any of that stuff.
No.
But if I were a high-level athlete and I was not sleeping very well, I think it would affect my game. And I'm not saying that's what's happening, but you cannot underestimate two things. One, the habits of a professional athlete, they're anal about them.
Mm-hmm.
Two, the way a baby goes, yeah, fuck all that.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, you have a
completely
routine?
fuck
That's nice. You had a life before me? That's nice. You don't anymore.
off. Hey, you love me?
Yeah.
Literally on your face.
So is it possible, and we talked about this like 10 years ago with Evgeny Malkin struggling, and they were like, Penguins people were like, wow, we might need to trade him. He's like, he did just have...
Samsonov last year.
Oh, his wife just had a kid? Yeah. I wonder if that plays into this at all. And,
possible.
it's like when Tavares was bad at the beginning of the season. People have forgotten that now. He had a bad 2 weeks. Well, he lost 8 pounds because he had the flu. Like, life happens.
So, like, I haven't put it as articulately as I'd like to in the LFR. I wanted to be like, what percentage of the people watching this video or this podcast today, right now, have had some sort of horrible illness over the last 2 weeks?
Oh, a lot of people have.
I think it's high. Sorry. Some of you are like, I don't know, maybe you're in Arizona right now. I don't know. I feel fine. Sorry. Southwest Ontario
Or winter climate.
is a cesspit right now. Cesspit. Everyone's got something horrible.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy I brought up yesterday for LFR was Willie. Like, who was just mysteriously playing the worst hockey of the season. And for me, I'm like, like he plays through some sort of haggard illness once a season.
I think with Willie too, there's just a regression to the mean.
That's possible.
Adam's favorite term there, bring it back to 2025. He's still shooting his highest shooting percentage of his entire career.
Still?
And he's on a 7-game goalless stretch.
Wow.
There was an inevitability here where he was just going to not score every game because it's impossible.
You know what I like about Willie, though? He's a hot starter. And there are a lot of guys that are not.
Cold starters.
Cold starters. Like Jerome McGinley was famous for cold starts and then would warm up mid-season and get crazy. Willie is a guy that's like hot start, a little bit of like a thing, and then at the end of the season, he brings it back up.
Mitch Marner not scoring feels like a distant memory.
No kidding. Yeah.
Like, he's unbelievable. 5-point game. And it was, I think, his 5th 5-point game, which is
Unreal.
just absurd.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he out of the guys who who's having a better season than last. I mean, he's probably number one out of guys having a much better season.
I've never had more fun watching Mitch Marner play hockey.
Oh, 100%.
This is the best he's ever been.
Easily. And we said
But
that
this last month has been the best. Well, actually, November as well, when Matthews went out. I thought we saw the best of what Mitch Marner and William Nylander could be. And when Matthews came back, it was pretty clear that he wasn't fully, in retrospect, fully healthy. Because if you see his comeback in December and you see his comeback in January, his comeback in January is fully Austin Matthews. His comeback in December was not.
I was worried, and it's all gone. Evaporated over 48 hours. He's looked fantastic. Completely fantastic.
Yep. So
No.
Just with Willie too, he's still second in the league lead in goals. It's Draisaitl and then Willie tied with a bunch of guys.
that's so crazy.
Like, yeah, and I assume a lot of the guys over the holidays had a little bit of sickness, but
I think, I don't know, it's lazy. It's literally lazy and based on nothing. But whenever a player gets bad out of nowhere, I'm like, okay, well, something must be.
And you're not going to be good all 82.
That's true too.
Yep.
It's true too. But like the standard for Willie set a high bar for himself, right? Like he's an unreal player.
They've been asking a lot of him too over when Matthews was out. He's double shifting on power plays, which isn't easy a lot. His centers have never been the best. He's out there playing with whoever. So, and he's been driving his line whenever he's out there, and he loves leaving the zone early. And a couple times he'll get caught doing that. I know they've pointed it out on television a couple times. Kyprios has been hard on him for that stuff, but that's also what makes Willie good.
Didn't yesterday he try to blow the zone? He tried to do like a little pickoff play around the guy at the point, and then he dropped his stick.
Yeah, not great stuff sometimes, but that's what you get.
Yeah,
you get the guy who's number 2 in goal scoring in the league.
Yeah, and they win, and that's why I'm able to just laugh it off. It's funny because they won.
You laugh like JT.
Yeah. Hey, Willie, you're supposed to have that in your hands.
Hey, so
what's that doing down there?
the one, it wouldn't be Leafs Nation if we weren't worried. The one piece of anxiety is last night, Jake McAbe and Garnet Hathaway going head to head. Jake and Nick Caprio said it perfectly at intermission. If you're gonna have him on the ground and drive his head into the ice, don't let him get up. There's 6 seconds to go in the period. Don't let him get up. Don't get into a fight. He does, and I think that what happened is the head injury that is suspected happened not when he hit the ice, but it was Garnet Hathaway's knee that hit him. I wasn't sure.
Is that the case?
Is that the case? Yeah, because
His head hit the ice pretty hard.
I think it was his head hitting the ice. He did get kicked on the way down.
Yeah, and I don't think that was on purpose.
I don't think it was on purpose, although
it is Garnet Hathaway.
Like I said it in the LFR, now that we have a little bit more breathing room and there's 2 people around me, I want to see a reaction. Garnet Hathaway is a greaseball with no integrity, and I hate him as a hockey player. Hate him.
He should have been a perfect Bruin. I can't believe that didn't work out.
I'm so fucking thrilled it didn't work out. A first, a second, and a third, and Craig Smith for a dude who got 1 assist in 7 games. Looks good on you. Spitting Eric Goodbranson's face. Do I talk like this about many players around the NHL? No, I don't respect this hockey player. Who spits on a guy?
That's messy.
It's
gross.
What's wrong with you?
So obviously yesterday, Jesse, after the game, I saw the quotes from you about Berube saying he was worried about things. We haven't got an update as of this recording. Did you get a sense of how things were? Was it serious sounding?
Yeah, because McAbe missed 5 games earlier this season with a head injury, so obviously him hitting his head again is not fun. He's become like really important to this team.
Oh my God.
You don't want McAbe missing any significant time, and they never give anything after the game. It's always upper body, or he'll update you tomorrow. So we never really get anything out of the Leafs. So we'll find out tomorrow at practice, but you just hope it's not too long term for McAbe. It looks like he'll definitely not play in the next couple of games because I assume it's a concussion. We don't know, but and
why bother? It's January.
You got to take a week off there or something.
3 games minimum, I think, is a good bet.
Yeah,
like I wouldn't expect to see him this week, and they play Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday.